are here with Wendy T and Hope Skibitsky.
Hey, everybody.
We are rolling into the holiday season, and
That's
so
right.
we often have conversations about things getting really stressful during that time frame. As a matter of fact, Wendy was just bringing me in off the ledge not too terribly long ago as I was talking to her about some of the stress that's going to be coming up with trying to arrange people in different places, and she was like, "Let it all happen. Like, let it
Mhm.
happen." But
Yeah, when we talk about, it's funny how all of the stressful things always happen at the same time. It's always the move and the new job and all of life events. And it's just, life keeps giving us opportunities to grow. And so,
man, life wants me to grow for sure.
yeah. And since we're coming up on the holiday season, we wanted to kind of talk about that connection over perfection. So, give our listeners, give each other, a break from that constant pressure to have everything go perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. Because we think about it. There are plenty of times when I have family come over, and there is a house full of family, and I am so persnickety on: is everything just right? Are the rooms all set up? Does everybody have the appropriate amount of linen? And everybody's like, "Hope, come outside and hang out with us." And I'm like, "Well, hold on, I just need to." And they're like, "Come sit at the table, spend some time with us." I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait, wait," and I am killing myself over a thing that nobody else is sitting around worrying about.
Nobody else is noticing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I understand that it's the things that keep us up all hours of the day and night. Today, you probably spent the day cleaning and doing all the things, right?
I got really good today. I took down like the covers that go over my halogen lights. Scary. Uh, Changed out some bulbs, did a bunch of other things. We swapped out the filter on the water softener, like all the things that just need.
Break, 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 break. This is why I tell her not to tell me things because then once I know them, I can't unknow them. And so, yeah. hmm hmm
Yeah.
Hope's house is the cleanest house I've ever been in.
I love things neat and clean.
I feel like a relatively clean person and I feel like a dirty girl when I go to her house. Which fun fact, it's not like she's like comes into my house and is like, it's filthy in here.
Never. I love people to live the way they live, right? Like you do you. It just happens to be the thing I do, right? I find cleaning cathartic. I really enjoy orderly like things. Like my little puppy, he's ready for Halloween. He's like a ghost back here, huh?
I was like, what is happening? So, but all of those things do take time and it's taking away time from the other thing that you love, which is like people connection.
That's 100%. Yep,
Mhm,
yep. And
And I
I'm so
know that you
excited because my baby boy is coming home this week. I get to have him for a couple of weeks. I'm excited
he
about that.
is. He is. So you recently had a house full of family
I did.
and you had everybody in and so many of our listeners are going to have housefuls of family. And so how do they get to enjoy this holiday time and enjoy that people connection time without being all overly stressed with that idea of the perfect holiday?
Yeah, and
So
I think part of it is that people feel like they have to be the server, the provider, the all those things. Like you're already providing lodging if everybody's staying at your house, or you're already providing the dinner table if they're all coming to you for the holiday. Why do you then feel like you have to be, the person bussing the tables and the person serving the food? Like my siblings on more than one occasion have said, Hope, let us help you clean up. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And Justin's like, you're never going to do it the way she wants it done. And I'm thinking, why do I do that? Like, just let them put it in the daggone dishwasher. Why is this so hard? But I'm like, they're going to waste space and not as many dishes would get cleaned at the same time.
when I see my mother load the dishwasher, I'm constantly rearranging it because I'm like, what is happening in here?
Yeah, I'm like, holy space waster, Batman. Like, you could get more stuff in there.
And it's like just kind of chaos. And so
Yeah, and so one of the things that I have mentioned to you on more than one occasion is that when there's an event that happens, I want to be involved too. I want to I want to get to sit at the table and laugh. I want to get to, but oftentimes I find myself, taking people's plates away and going into the kitchen to help clean up. And I'm like, I don't even know why I do it. Like, why can't I just sit still?
I know, because you really want to be sitting down playing Monopoly.
Ew. I would rather do almost anything than play Monopoly. That's the worst. Like Justin's two favorite games, like we first started dating, he was like, I was like, oh, I love a game night. He's like, oh yeah, like Monopoly and Trivial Pursuit are my favorite. I'm like, ew. I'm like, that's homework. Like that's not a game night. I want to do Pictionary and categories, like.
It was one of my favorite pictures of you holding up, like, I'm just here to admire the little pieces.
Okay, by the way, like me and my sister Louise love miniature things. And so anytime I find like tiny doll houses or little miniature things, I'm just enamored with it. And so that is one of the only reasons why I will tolerate playing Monopoly is because I love like the little car and the little boot. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. I get tangential here.
So, minus the being able to sit in the moment and have game night and whatnot, there's the other things besides, which by the way, Thanksgiving is like my absolute favorite holiday because it's all of the family and friends, all of the food, like super
Justin's homemade cranberry sauce.
the, but just like it's all of the fun things for me and none of the gifts. The gifts just zero on my love languages. So I don't need like any of those things. And so for me, Thanksgiving is just my absolute favorite. And so, my family is flying in. And so I'm super excited to host them. Typically I'm over at the Starkeys and we do, all like the football things and it's just super fun time. That can also be just stressful because it's just a whole house. The house is like silent. Like it's like a spa in here. Okay. Like it's so peaceful. I overlook the water and it's silent. So now, imagine my family who I love, that's a lot of people and a lot of not silent. It's real hard because I'm like, it's like suddenly a lot dirtier than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So how do I enjoy, all of that? Because I treasure my family and I don't get to see them often. So how
Yeah.
do I be able to enjoy those moments and not be stressed out and not feel like everything has to be perfect?
That's right. And 100% of the time, like you're the one worrying about it. Like no one else is sitting around going, I wonder why Wendy like hasn't wiped up her counter every 2 minutes. Like you're the one worrying about it. And so I guarantee you what you're doing to make you feel like you're making it a better experience for other people is making them wonder, like, why are we even here? Like she spent her whole time like in the kitchen. Or I don't even know if it's a real thing, but I have what I think is called event letdown because I love planning and organizing and getting things together and the whole thing. And then when the event actually comes, I'm like almost morose. And not because I'm mad that people are here, but because the planning portion, which I enjoyed the most, is over.
Yeah,
And
like the denouement. That's what we call the denouement.
then,
Like
yeah,
you train for a whole marathon and the marathon comes and then it's over and it's like I spent months
what do I do now?
or Tammy and I would tell you we spent days preparing.
She's a beast. I don't even know how I.
No, it was our first one. It was our first one.
Oh, okay, okay.
We did not prepare. We were almost not friends anymore after mile 15. I made her leave. I was like, you better just keep running or there was no more talking. And I was like, you better just keep going or we will not be friends anymore. Just run along. So it was very, very poor training regimen for that one.
Justin is a beast when it comes to training for a thing where I'm just kind of willy-nilly, like, let's do it one time or let's do it no times. And then let's go have fun and stop every 2 minutes. In Texas, they offer you Bluebell ice cream at the end of a run. And so I was like, this sounds like a deal to me. Walk to the end and get ice cream. So, though, how do you make sure, though, that you prioritize the connection that is the gathering over the perfection that is executing the gathering?
Yeah. I'm asking all of our listeners to like send in the pro tips here because I have not mastered this. I'm pretty good about not getting sucked into the I'm failing on the word here. like into the commercialism side of things because that's not as important to me. I like to send gifts to people and make it special. Um, I like the experience to be special for
Yeah.
people.
Yes,
I
you do. Yes, you do.
Hope knows she had her own little like Pretty Woman moment for her retirement gift.
That's
Um,
right. It was wonderful.
but the idea of like trying to battle it out with crowds and things like that, after Thanksgiving for a deal on something that none of that sounds appealing to me. So, so I don't think I get really sucked into that kind of thing. I understand why people do, but to try and get a good value for, for things. But I think that commercialism or consumerism has just gotten so rampant that it's like, why, why,
Yeah.
what was the purpose in all of these gift giving things, and I guess it's harder for me to understand because it's not important to me.
That's 100% right. People who value the gift giving and gift receiving piece tend to value it way more than you or I. We're both not in the gifts kind of scheme. And that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate when I get a thing from you. It just means it's not where my priority or my focus is. And so for me, I think that I say it all the time, like, oh, I want this friendship circle. Oh, I want people to spend time with me. Oh, I want us to be able to go out and have. And then when they're actually here, like I'm so focused on everything other than I should stop wondering why people are putting their focus somewhere else.
Yeah, so sometimes it's just easier just let's just all go out.
Yes. Yes. Because I mean, seriously, if someone else got to focus on the setup, the tear down, the cooking, the cleaning, I could probably settle in and enjoy it. But when
Mhm.
I feel like part of their experience is making sure that they get the good meal, the clean environment, the comfortable sleeping arrangement, that I want them to have such a good experience that I spend so much time like stressing over it. And on more than one occasion, I have had my siblings be like, "Wow, sit down, like enjoy yourself." Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
And so the reality is like I know and I'm gonna speculate here, like it's hard for that part of the brain for me and probably for you to be able to enjoy the moment when that's still like the thing is still sitting there in the back of my brain being like that it's dirty.
yeah. I could be running the dishwasher right now.
And so how do we because that time is limited, I don't know how my family will only be here for a few days. And so I have to be deliberate about being in the moment.
Yeah. So my family came together here recently. We dealt with a family tragedy, and so in our family coming together, I was feeling way less attention to detailish as I normally would, just because I was feeling a certain kind of way. And so when my siblings said, "Hey, let us, you're housing all of us. Let us, help clean up and everything." I found a medium. Like one sibling was rinsing the dishes, the other one was wiping down the counters, the other one was running the sweeper while I was loading the dishwasher, which is the thing that, I tend to stress about most anyways. And so then we got it done 4 times as fast. And then we were able to sit down and, spend time together. And so I think at least a starting point is what can you give up? Does everything have to be a stress, or can you stress less against about one thing?
Mhm.
Even just one thing. And I think that's what I did, was gave up some of that so that I could get back to spending that time with my siblings. Especially it made it ever more real that we needed to spend that time together.
Do you have any like really good memories from because I know like the economy has just been very difficult this year. And so do you have some good memories of favorite holiday times where like where it was a challenging economic time for you and it wasn't focused on gifts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of my favorite memories, which is Justin did a play on it as his proposal to me when we got engaged, was my grandmother. She knew that it would be really hard to do something that was strictly based around money for 6 grandkids. plus airfare to come out and visit. And so she and my granddad would come out to visit always around the Easter timeframe. And she wanted us to do something fun, but there just wasn't a ton of money. And so she would create a scavenger hunt, and it was specific to each and every kid, things that we had to go look for, things that we had to find. And then at the very end, we got, I mean, it's a very modest Easter basket, but it was a basket that, you know, she was able to afford, but put together with a ton of love. And it is still one of my very favorite set of memories because she did it on more than one occasion, to the point that I had mentioned it so many times that Justin did our proposal as a scavenger hunt, and it was a ton of fun.
Oh,
Yeah. And
that's so
so
sweet. I don't think I've ever known that story.
he made it very special. I still have all the little clues. And so, yeah, it's one of those things that I have valued a lot. And the fact that he listened and then made it very, very personal for me.
See, if we'd known each other then he would have made one of the clues at a Nordstrom, I'm sure.
No doubt. No doubt. But that kid wouldn't be getting an Easter basket.
So I think one year I had my family do like these gratitude cards,
Yeah.
things that we appreciated about each other. And so, we wrote out these little notes for each other to say things that we were proud of each other for or grateful for each other for, to just, as you know, I'm a words of affirmation girl. And so we carried around these notes. I found these notes from you all over the place, by the way. Hope would be like, she would leave these notes all over my office, and I would randomly find them in places like weeks after she would leave a visit. And so I would, like I pick up the phone receiver and there's a little note taped onto the headset, or and I keep them.
I did. I used to love doing it. Again, in that whole scavenger hunt thing, I think. But I
Yeah.
would hide a little note on the inside of your service dress coat pocket. That way, if you had to get in there for any reason, there would be a little, Easter
That's
egg.
right. That's right. And so I love all those little notes. In fact, I was just referencing one. Alex Perry had sent a note over. So I still have it. I still carry it just because it's such a small note. And so I've had it since 2012. And it's real short, but it's just, once a diamond, always a diamond. But it had a very short sentiment on it that is meaningful to me. And I was just referencing it the other day, and we were talking about, like, oh, I'm a words of affirmation girl. And so like this is a powerful reminder to me, to be strong through difficult things and also that I'm cared about. And so
Yes. And
mhm.
and so Justin and I, we blended family. We each have children from previous relationships, and um, so when we first got together, we were playing a lot of cleanup on aisle nine, trying to deal with finances, figuring out how to get things on track for our relationship. And Valentine's Day came around, and so we had done little coupon books for experiences that would be like a walk in the park or other things that at whatever point in time your other could cash in on that coupon book. And it was one of those things that I really enjoyed, mainly because one, it gave me the ability to put the power of that gift into someone else's hand because they got to choose when we executed on it. But two, it gave me a lot of fun in trying to explore what kind of fun things might we be able to do together that weren't going to cost us anything because we didn't have anything to spend. And so it was one of my favorites. Oh, yeah.
Remember this?
Hmm.
Never again, right?
That was a lot. I found this amazing little bottle that has 100 little pills, and each pill opens up and has a tiny scroll inside. And
So
this,
tiny.
yeah, and I put a little affirming note on every single one of those little scrolls. Yeah. And then
Like,
had to roll them all back up.
like it has a little tiny like metal, not like
The
I'm
ring.
saying
Yeah,
a
it was a little
ring. Yeah. And this then you take off the ring.
ring.
And then, as she said, tiny little scrolls.
Yep,
She wrote on every single one of them and then put them all back. And I'm
I
trying to
did.
imagine Justin being like, what is happening over there?
It took me a long time, but it was fun to do because I knew one that you would appreciate it because you are such a words of affirmation person, but two, that it felt good that I got to spend that amount of time specifically focused on things that I loved that I got the chance to say to you. And
Yeah.
you could, go back to them whenever you wanted. Because the connection is important to me. Yeah. Like people that I love, they get a lot of love from me.
Hmm. And I'm most loved.
Yes, you are most loved.
Maybe a little bit behind Tuco now because he's pretty loved.
Oh, my poor doggy. So we were outside yesterday. We have the trail that runs out through the property, and we were playing cleanup, cutting branches, just cleaning up the trail. And anytime I stoop over, the dog thinks he's a scarf and wants to get up on my shoulders. And so he was trying to come at me to jump up on my shoulders, and I was in the middle of breaking stick, and I poked him in the eye. And I'm sitting here panicking like I've blinded the dog because he did a yelp that Justin could hear over the chainsaw.
Oh gosh.
And Justin was like, "What happened?" And I was like, he allowed me to poke him in the eye with a stick, like.
Oh no.
And so I have been Uber babying him, and so
Oh.
Justin's like, "Watch it now. The dog's gonna want to do nothing but get poked in the eye with sticks because all kinds of attention."
Pavlov's dog. Or Pavlov's dog. Oh, poor
That's exactly
baby.
right. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do to demonstrate that we value this connection with other people. And I think that that's important because if you're going to have connections, and this is one of the things I told you when I retired, that I had felt like the last several years of my career were so busy and so fast, and I was on the move all the time that I felt like I didn't get to foster the relationships I cared about the same way that I would have done normally. And so
Mhm.
I felt like when it was time for me to leave, a lot of my relationships were like an inch deep and a mile wide because there was very little substance to those relationships. It was a lot of acquaintances, a lot of high fives in passing. And so it then was really hard when I made the transition out of the military because I was like, I felt really alone, because you're on the other side of the planet. My sister is on the other side of the planet. And so it was just one of those things that it was really, really hard for me. And I felt like had I done a better job of fostering those relationships, that they would have been more available to me when I needed them.
I think that so Jay, I read his book, The 5 Million Steps, and he was talking about the one time that somebody just kind of, had a breakfast with him at one of the visits that he had at Pick a Place. And it was such an unusual breakfast. I feel like it was breakfast, where the person was like, "Oh, so tell me about your family and tell me, like, what do you like to do for fun?" And he was like, I forgot what these conversations were like because everybody wants some of your time and they always want to know how do you make it to this level and how do you get to this and this and what. And he's like, I just forgot that, there's human interaction too, and so I think it's just kind of nature of the pipeline and the career. It just lends itself to these, you know, mile wide, inch deep kind of experiences
Yeah.
because you're not alone in that. I think I've been very fortunate. Again, I think it's just one of those nuances of the different path between the reg aff and the reserve. My especially as a reserve, largely spent with active duty arenas. My path was very different, and so I didn't have the same environments that you did. So, which is what Ash and I were recently kind of talking about the competitive nature of like the circle that you're around. It just doesn't lend itself to the same kind of relationship building capacity that I had. And so, I feel very fortunate that my circle had been pretty strong because people were so willing to help me.
Yeah.
And, none of those people were competing with me for my career.
Yeah.
It was a completely different environment. And so I was often one deep in a place where there were no other reservists. And so for your career path, it looked very different. You were always in an arena where people were looking to move to the next space, and everybody around you was a peer looking to go to that next level too.
Yeah. And some of the competition were things that I, you know, I, it wasn't where my brain would sit, like all of the people that were my peers were often men, and they would get ready to go do something together, an event, a pick a thing, and they were my peer group. And so I would say, "Oh, I would love to come. May I come to that?" And they would say, "Oh, I don't think my wife would like you to be there." And I was like I didn't even think about that being a hindrance to my ability to build those relationships because that's not where my brain was. And
Mhm.
my brain was like, well, we're peers and we hang out together and you guys are building this circle and this connection. And I want to be a part of that because if
Mhm.
not in my peer group, then where? And so I found that really tough as well because there was competition that I wasn't even thinking about
Mhm.
that was competition. It just made
Yep.
another layer of something to have to deal with.
That's right. And I think it's that has improved as we've gotten more, we've moved that stick forward, but that you were again, you were a groundbreaker. And so you were one of
Yes.
so often in your career. And so I think that also you're not entirely homely. So that makes it very difficult. And I just think, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, and I feel like for me, I was always very grateful for my experiences and for the people who constantly were helping. You were one of the people who first phone call for all of the help, because you had already been there and already experienced some of the things by the time I got to a seat and was looking for help on what does this mean? How do I work through this? Who do I ask for help on this? And so you were so, so helpful for things, and so when I think back to, how did I navigate, I'm always grateful for you. And so
Yeah. But I mean, seriously, the people that I love, sit around in your pajamas, watch the movie, cry together, be your vulnerable self, like no personal space because that's not who I am. Like I'm gonna lay my head on your lap because we're here together. But I'm also the same person that like I'll sell plasma and donate a kidney, right? If that's what the
Mhm.
people that I love need and I'm a match. But it's just one of those things that I feel like when you have a relationship, it should be a relationship because I feel like why start something if it's just gonna be the surface level oddity that you really don't care to put any effort or energy into. That's just not my forte.
I think, when I think about again, when Thanksgiving's so full of gratitude, and I am always so grateful for, especially for our friendship, but the number of people who would tell me, "Oh, Hope helped me with this," and I was thinking, like, I think that they feel like you must tell me that you helped them because they come and tell me, and I'm like, she doesn't share that she helped with, like, you keep all of that very much to yourself. If they want to share, then they can share, and so I'm
Yeah.
like. I try and remind them, like, it's not like, we might be best friends, but when it comes to like, she does a good job with like those lines of,
Yeah.
that, if you reached out to her for something, then she kept that to herself.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I like to think that the things that I do for people I do based on altruism, but I guess not everybody is the same way. So some people probably think there was some, you know,
so,
reason or ulterior motive. I'm not sure.
but I feel I was the beneficiary of things that you already walked through on numerous occasions. So I'm super grateful for you. And so as our listeners walk through the holiday time and try and figure out how that they can be, grateful and in the moment and enjoy time with, connection with their folks and their families and their friends and not be too mired in that idea of perfection and consumerism. I hope that they can learn some lessons from the things that we're trying to figure out ourselves.
Absolutely. Build your circle. Spend time with the people that you love and let people in. Put the dishes down.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I was at assignments where I didn't have family around, I did a lot of volunteer work for all of those holidays. So that always helped me feel like very grateful in those moments too. So,
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
mhm.
Okay, well, it's another great time spent with you. I love you, honey. And so I'm going to invite everybody to have a great holiday season. And if there's things that you would like to talk about, share, have us talk about or share, feel free to email us. You can catch us at orangegumpodcast@gmail.com. You can find all of our episodes at orangegumpodcast.com. You can check us out by video on YouTube, or you can listen wherever you listen.
That's right. We'll catch you on the next round.
That's right. And so until next time, take care, y'all.